Paul, in 30 seconds or less, what makes Little Green Pharma unique?
Little Green Pharma are incredibly unique inside the medicinal cannabis landscape globally, primarily because of our net tangible asset position is one of our biggest factors. Also, our growth opportunities up into the European market. So, the Australian market, we're number 2 to 3 within the current market by market share, but we've invested heavily up into the European market, and we own largely backed by property assets. So we have a net tangible asset position of north of $75 million.
Medicinal cannabis has come a long way in Australia. What do you think is the biggest misconception investors have about the industry?
Look, I think the last couple of years in our industry has been difficult from a capital markets perspective. We still have a misconception in the broader industry around cannabis being an illicit drug. But what we know in the Australian market now is we're probably sitting at about 2 to 3% of the population. So we're talking over 1 million people in this country with a medicinal cannabis script. So if you look at any other pharma drug in our history, there's no other drug as a category that's grown like this industry. So we now know that this is a medicine that is working for a whole range of conditions. So I'd say that'd be really number one.
Are we still early in the medicinal cannabis story, or is the market starting to mature?
The data would tell us that we're starting to mature in this market. So if we look at the last 6 to 12 months, we're starting to see a little bit of a plateau inside the Australian market. Whilst that is true for the Australian market, it's certainly not true for the global market. So I'll use one example of the European markets that we're active in, but the French market has 65 million people, has not got a medical cannabis regime that's legalised yet, but that will happen this year. Little Green Pharma is one of only 2 companies to have been part of a pilot program there, and we'll get a significant advantage into that market. So if we step back and say, is there a global opportunity? Is it emerging? Absolutely. Is the Australian market potentially getting to a point, looking at the data, where we need to think about consolidation? We think that's probably the case. However, if you just look at the facts of the number of Australians that had a script last year for chronic pain, I think the numbers are 14 or 15%. If you look at the number of Australians who had a script for anxiety, it's a similar number, and the same for chronic sleep conditions. So if we then overlay that with the number of Australians with a medicinal cannabis script being 2 to 3%, there logically feels on the medical side there is still a significant growth opportunity here as well.
Where are we at with the Cannatrek merger?
Progressing well. So our target date is the 1st of May. We've got a couple of court hearings and shareholder votes now to go through the timeline. So at this stage, everything's on track for a 1st of May. Really excited to then step into the next phase of integrating the businesses and delivering some great upside.
From an investor perspective, how transformational could this merger be for Little Green Pharma?
For Little Green Pharma, we have invested heavily in the growth opportunities of the emerging markets, particularly inside Europe. One of the things that has held us back has been the capital, particularly in this market over the last 24 to 36 months to sort of not just open the door on those opportunities, but to fuel those opportunities. So Cannatrek as a business have been solely focused in the Australian market. That has delivered them very, very strong bottom line EBITDA returns. So part of this deal is the merger that we bring $13 million cash to the deal on the 1st of May. That opportunity is significant. Little Green Pharma have done the groundwork to open up these European opportunities, and the cash coming to that deal will enable us to really fuel those opportunities inside the European market.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, Paul.